Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kylie, otherwise known as Moonsong Magic over on Instagram. If you are new here, welcome, it's lovely to have you. Today we're going to be talking about something a bit more serious. I'm also not filming with my mic today because it's been giving me issues and it's buzzing. So I'm going to have to just project and hope that it's picking up okay. Today we're going to be talking about mermaid toxicity and the toxicity that's happening on certain social forums that is starting to like put me off a little bit. And maybe it's because I'm naive. I joined the mermaid community hoping that this was just going to be a place where there's just a lot of joy and people playing and, you know, engaging in fantasy and expressing themselves very creatively, because I'm a very creative person myself. But I was naive, because with all groups there's going to be drama, there's going to be a little bit of toxicity, you know. So maybe it's also my age, and because of my life influences I tend to handle these things a little bit more differently. But I'd like to give you like some advice, things to think about, you know, before you start, you know, smashing keyboard warrior style onto your mermaid forums. I'm not saying that this is the right way, and each circumstance is different, and I'm not your mom, so I'm not telling you what to do. But I'd like you to have something in the back of your mind that might help you like monitor your actions or like your reactions when you read something online. Okay, so let's first talk about my influences and what guides me on how I conduct myself, not just on social media but just in general. Right. One of my influences is the fact that I study martial arts, and within martial arts there is a moral system and a code of conduct. And in Japanese culture we like to bring in the law of Bushido, and there are 7 virtues that help you guide your behavior, and I'll go into that in a moment, like one of the virtues that I think is appropriate for you guys. And another aspect is, you know, in Africa, in South Africa, there's also a term that's called Ubuntu, which I will talk about soon, and how this all ties in together. So before I go on to my advice, allow me to tell you a little bit of a story that'll give you context as to how to handle yourself when it comes to toxic mermaid behavior and what's happening on the forum. So this is just a story to give you a bit of perspective. It's not my story. A gentleman told me the story. He's a forensic psychologist, and he was also doing some work for a school, and the way he handled this particular situation was absolutely incredible. So shout out to him. I don't know if he wants to be publicly known, but it really stuck with me, because the story really emphasizes how you should preserve the dignity of others, and perhaps vengeance is not going to truly bring healing to a situation, because at the end of the day the goal is to make sure that everybody is happy and in harmony with each other. That should be the goal. In martial arts, that's the goal. The martial art that I study is called Aikido, which means the way of continuous harmony. So the way of harmony. So let's go on to the story. So apparently there was a theft in a classroom where someone had stolen money out of the teacher's wallet. So the psychologist was brought in to just like use his skills to try and like coax out the perpetrator. So he entered the classroom, and because he's a forensic psychologist, he's able to read body language, and you know, kids, they tend to like not hide it very well. So to him as an adult, it's the child who was a perpetrator stood out like a sore thumb. And there was a bit of history, so it was also a good educated guess as well, I'm sure. Forgive me if I might be elaborating on the story a little bit. It's been a while since I've heard it. So so he's able to identify the child, and then he makes an announcement to say that he is going to randomly check children's bags, and just to make sure, you know, everything's all right. And he's not saying that anything bad has happened, because no one here is here to hurt teacher, so let's just quickly do a bag check to see what's going on. So he checks a couple of bags and he finds the perpetrator, and true as Bob, the money was in the child's bag, and he looks the child in the eye and he hides the money away and doesn't say anything, doesn't out the child, doesn't cancel the child, doesn't name and shame, takes the money, hides it up his sleeve. He then goes over the cupboard and he very purposefully like looks at the child, and then he discreetly hides the money behind the cupboard. And then he starts talking to the class to say, you know what, teacher, all these children here are good children, and I don't think anybody here really actually wants to hurt the teacher. So, you know, this could have been an accident, you know, this could have been a mistake. So maybe while the teacher was busy like working, maybe you dropped the money behind the cupboard. So I'm going to ask one of the kids to help me look behind the cupboards, so maybe we can find your money. And so he then looks at the perpetrator and he calls the perpetrator up. And the perpetrator, you know, goes behind the cupboard, takes the money, finds the money, of course, and then he tells the perpetrator to hand the money over to the teacher to say, here you go, miss, here's your money back. All right. So, like, a couple of things happened there. It's like, just let it all sink in for a second. Okay, I thought it was blinking genius. So, he has maintained the child's dignity amongst his peers. He has also allowed the child to redeem himself in a way that's easier versus like having to muster out a confession, because he's a kid, all right? The other choice in the situation was to name and shame and out the child straight away. But what is that going to truly achieve? Well, first of all, the child's like social career is basically finished because you have damaged their reputation. Because when you do these shout outs and exposés, you are damaging a person's reputation, and that could be very limiting to his school career. Once he allowed the child to maintain their dignity and just like almost elevate him a little bit amongst his peers, the child did have consequences, and he made appointments so this child would see him continuously, you know, to help him reshape and figure out why he's doing this rebellious behavior and uncover what's actually going on, you know, why he's doing that. Absolutely brilliant. And such an example to all of us, because we like to go into this knee-jerk behavior of, you know, name and shame and call them out on social media. Another influence, like what this really also ties into, is like in the Japanese culture, the virtues of Bushido, there's also, you know, rectitude and honor and benevolence and compassion and all those things that you should endure. And, you know, it's basically, you know, maintaining respect for yourself and respect for others. So in the martial art arena, when you feel the need that you have to criticize someone, you do so in a way that you have to maintain the person's dignity while you are doing so. Because at the end of the day, when you do that, the person who is listening recognizes that you have compassion for them, and they're more willing to actually listen to you versus if you just go on this whole attack spree. Okay. And to just bring up Ubuntu is like a practice that is when African tribes come together and there's like someone who has wronged the tribe or wronged people or done something terrible, instead of exacting vengeance, what they would do is they would surround the person for however long it takes and just speak to this person with love and remind them of all the good that is inside of them and the good deeds that they have done in the past, to just reinforce that this is not you. What you've done is not you. You need to repent from that and embrace the good that you are. And I just think the concept is just such a beautiful concept, because at the end of the day, no one is inherently evil. Now, look, I'm not naive. I do know there's a lot of people out there who are scam artists, who are out there to hurt people, but that's not everybody. Okay, so, and of course, granted, not everybody is willing to stand around and have everybody speak nice things to them, because, you know, they might have mental health issues and there might be things going on there. So, of course, every situation is unique. But I just want you to hear this perspective before you go out on the spree of like naming, shaming, cancel culture, or when someone posts something, like you have the need to tell them it's wrong, and you've done it the wrong way, or this is a copy of this, or if you feel the need that you have to do this, okay, you just can't control yourself. You just have to say something. All right, don't be lazy. All right, I want you to at least do your research before you start naming and shaming people, and try and get the context of the situation before you just flat out go and try and destroy someone's reputation. Because the thing is that there seems to be like a frenzy attitude. The minute one person starts jumping on this bandwagon, and I've seen this on Facebook, like a whole bunch of people just start jumping on, and it becomes this big witch hunt until eventually somebody will come in and just be like, excuse me guys, like calm down, and magically like the crowd dissipates. It's bizarre. I've seen this happen a couple of times. So if you are going to name and shame someone, please do your research first and understand the context of which you are busy criticizing. If somebody is calling you to action to say, please go ahead and strike this person, or lodge a complaint against this person, don't just do it because you like the person who's calling this one out. Like, do your research and find out if this is true. All right, and just make sure that the information is accurate, because my best friend, she taught her son a very valuable lesson where she took a plate and she asked him to break the plates, okay? And he broke the plate, and she says, now say sorry to the plates. And he said, sorry, plates. She says, did it fix it? No. She says, okay, so how are we going to fix this plate? Well, you have to glue it back together. Now, how long is that going to take? Well, that takes effort to have to actually now fix what you have done. And is it going to look the same when you're finished? No, it's not going to look the same. It's never going to be the same. That is exactly the same thing that's going to happen. If you happen to be wrong and you're on Facebook and you are trying to name and shame someone and engage in this toxic culture, and you end up being wrong, and now that person's reputation has been damaged. Okay, so I guess this can be summarized as bullying, basically. Now that I'm thinking about it, this is just plain old online bullying. And I don't think people who engage in this kind of thing actually realize the reach. And look, not everybody is out there to like bully this one, or bully this tail maker, or bully this user, or a person who bought a tail that they didn't know was a knockoff, and the person wasn't uneducated. And there's the lazy way of dealing with this kind of thing is to just name and shame, out them, and be nasty. That's the lazy way, and I don't have respect for people who do that. And I can't stand it when I see on Facebook when someone's posted a picture of their new tail that they're so proud of, and everyone's like, it's a knockoff, you shouldn't support these people, blah 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 blah. And it's rude, it's blinking rude, like, and that's lazy. Why don't you create a relationship with that person and say, hey honey, I'm so excited for your new tail and all, but and I understand mermaid tails are expensive. I just want to bring to your attention. And you create a relationship with the person, and you do it privately, and you do it nicely, and you do it inclusively, instead of making them feel terrified of sharing anything on a Facebook forum again. So guys, like, before you post stuff, just think about it. Just think that there's people on the other end of the mobile phone. And I know everything is so instant in our cell phone culture, make a comment, move on to the next topic. But it shouldn't be that way. You can't unsay something to a person. I've had many situations where in my martial art community where people post things to social media, and I look at it and go like, that is absolutely ridiculous what you've just said and what you're busy doing or what you're promoting. It's not in line with any of our values. But I would never online start that conversation publicly. I would deal with that privately. But then I'd also gauge, is it my place to say this to this person, or should you give them the space to figure this out on their own? Because life has a way of teaching you, and sometimes it's not your place to tell this person. With all of this aside, naturally there are going to be situations where people are out to hurt other people. There are situations where people aren't receptive to relationship forming, or don't want to hear your advice, or just like are going through whatever it is that they're going through. Or there are people out there who are scam artists. There are different people, but be sure before you start going after them. Do your research. Talk to people, find out, hey, do you know about this person? Have you heard about this company before? Ask questions, okay, politely. And once you've gathered your information, then you can start bringing awareness to it, okay? Because don't forget, it's all good, you know, if the person is doing these things, but imagine if you are wrong. That's not only just their name, but that's your name too. Okay, so just think about it, guys. Think about it before you start engaging in the keyboard warrior mentality, this cancel culture, this over-offended whole situation that's happening out there. You're looking at what these YouTube celebrities are doing at the moment. It's craziness, absolute craziness. So yeah, preserve your dignity, preserve others' dignities, do your research, and yeah, form relationships then. If it really means that much to you that you need to say something, put in the effort and just find out what the context is before you decide to become a troll or to bully or to just be plain mean online. I'm really tired of seeing it, and I really hope that, you know, we can do better and treat each other better. Okay, so that's my soapbox story. It's 17 minutes. See if I can edit that down a bit. And so thank you so much for watching. If you agree or even disagree, if you've had a situation where what I've said is completely unapplicable to you, please comment below and explain to us what the situation was, and then, you know, so we can decide, like, through our joint experiences, what is the best way of handling certain things. I'm always open to people changing my mind. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If you've ever had to deal with this, or if someone's ever done this to you, how did you handle it? What did you do? What advice could you give others? I think it would be a wonderful learning experience. So anyway, that's it from me today, guys. We'll see you on the next video.